Hi, I'm Vicky Teal, the author of The Absolute Woman. It's all about feminine power. This is my fragrance, La Femme Absolue. It's all about feminine power. I want to talk to you today about something that happened to me 25 years ago when I was in Paris. I was throwing a fabulous New Year's Eve party, and the people that came to my party partied all night long. And in the morning, I made everybody mimosas, champagne and vodka and orange juice for breakfast, my normal breakfast. And my girlfriend that was there had been with me in Florida just at Christmas when I had crashed my car and it was hanging in a tree in front of my house. That girlfriend asked me if I would accompany her on New Year's Day, the first of the year, to an AA meeting. She said that I should go to an AA meeting. So I went with her. She belonged to AA. She had recently joined. And she said to me that I needed to go. And when I went in there, I said, no, I don't belong here. I belong with the wives of drinkers because my husband was a serious alcoholic and I had the father of my children and I had, he drank bottles of vodka all day. I said, that's an alcoholic. I'm not. So I went to the wives of alcoholic meeting and stayed there for a couple of meetings and did not feel right. Didn't feel right at all. So I went back to the alcoholic meeting, the AA meeting, and I really had a good time there. I liked to talk to the people and I stopped drinking completely. I was more that type than the Al-Anon wife of, because I had been drinking and I had been partners with Elizabeth Taylor for 20 some years, and the two of us really loved our Dom Perignon and our great French wines. We didn't drink beer. We didn't drink anything cheap. We always drank Dom Perignon or great, the 5 Grand Cru. Our favorite being the Rothschild wines. And her favorite was Chateau Margaux, especially with peanut butter and jelly. All of the great things. We couldn't find a good Grand Cru to go with a hot dog, but we found the Grand Crus to go with all of the great foods we ate. But peanut butter and jelly with the Moutons and the Margaux was just awesome. So I had to give it all up, and I started to belong to the AA. And this is an interesting story because after a year, I wanted my whole team, the friends in Paris. We were all together in a beautiful meeting behind a church, and I asked them to come to my apartment and celebrate in my apartment a block away overlooking the river. The boats go by in front of my apartment on the Seine, and we were all sitting on 3 or 4 couches. There was 20 of us, and we were all drinking coffee or tea at night for the celebration of my 1-year anniversary. And I asked anybody if they wanted to smoke some pot. And I started to light up a marijuana cigarette. Well, that did not go over. They said, "What are you talking about, Vicky? You're supposed to be clean." I said, "Well, I am. I don't drink for a year." And this is just to show you the case of denial. I didn't realize, or I didn't want to realize, that I couldn't smoke pot too. So they told me that I was going to be thrown out of the AA meeting and I had to go to a meeting called NA, which is people who also smoke pot and take pills. I had been taking pills, diet pills, pills to make you happy, pills when you land on an airplane in a foreign country, they'll pick you up, and I had to give all that up. Yeah, I had to give everything up. And my dear Elizabeth, she went to the Betty Ford Clinic and she had to give everything up too. But we weren't allowed to give it up together. After that, when I had to give everything up with the AA meeting in Paris, I went to an ashram in upstate New York the following year, and I had to join NA, and then I went into an ashram. Once I went to the ashram and I saw the great big golden Buddha, that did it for me, and I even gave up cigarettes. Everybody said, "How did you give up cigarettes? I mean, smoking cigarettes." I said, "It was easy." And they said, "How? What did you do?" I said, "Well, I was in New York." The ashram is upstate New York, but I was in Manhattan going to an NA meeting. And while I was there, it was in a great big auditorium. There was hundreds of people in there. And this this guy gets up and he stands there and he thanked his mother for getting him off everything. He said, because of my mother, I'm clean. My mother said the magic words to me, and I have never wanted, or all desire has been taken away. I have no desire to do anything. I want to be straight all my life. So after the meeting, I went up to him and I said, oh my gosh, what did your mother say to you? You got to tell me. Because he didn't say what his mother said at the meeting. You know, he was in a big auditorium and he was the center speaker. Thanks to my mother, she said the magic words. And I was like, oh my God, what are those words, you know? What did your mother tell you? I got to hear it. She said to him to pray to God. Well, that did it. Pray to God. They had talked about higher power, but the idea that that was going to happen just like that, like boom, it was going to disappear. So I was flying to Houston to work with Neiman Marcus, have a fashion show the next day. I had been smoking since I'm 14 or 15 years old, smoking cigarettes. Mostly, Elizabeth and I smoked the green packages. They were green cigarettes. You know, they were like Salems. They were called Salems. So we smoked these Salems. So I was going on 50, 50-ish. I went to the Neiman Marcus Houston, and they put me in a hotel. And the hotel had a view. I was on the top floor, and I had a beautiful balcony. And the balcony was just overlooking all of Houston. It was this beautiful part of town. There was a river, and just totally gorgeous hotel and a gorgeous view. And I'm sitting on a chair having my breakfast. They bring you the breakfast on your terrace. And I sat there, and I looked at the sky of Houston and the city, and I said, please, dear God, may this be my last cigarette. And I finished my breakfast, and I had my Salem cigarette, and I'll never forget, I threw the Salem cigarette off the balcony in that fancy hotel, Houston. Threw it off the balcony. I sat there, and I was like, wow, okay, dear God, please help me. I've smoked all my life. I don't want to smoke anymore. Please, please take the power, use your powers and take the desire to smoke a cigarette away from me. And then I went to the store to sell dresses. I never, ever in my life smoked another cigarette. I never wanted to buy a package of cigarettes. I never saw a cigarette anybody was smoking that I got jealous of. I can't believe it. It was true. But I really prayed. I mean, I was really like looking over the city of Houston, and I was like, it's my last Salem. I'm throwing it out. Please take it away. Take the desire away. That's all I did. I just asked God to help me, and he sure did. I've never wanted a cigarette. So I recommend this. I wanted to tell everybody mostly about the cigarettes, because the desire to stop drinking or drinking, you yourself know, you heard about me not realizing I was still an addict if I was smoking pot. And I didn't have an excuse to smoke pot, because today you can if you have some type of mental problems, which I didn't. My only mental problem was, designing another collection. I had 4 to do a year, 4 collections. That's a lot. It's a big mental problem. 4 just collections a year all my life. And on a date, you have to deliver on a date. But I recommend, you want to stop smoking cigarettes, you want to stop something, you have to find a great vista, a beautiful view, a view of the whole universe, of the sky, of the clouds, of everything. You want to stand there. You want to turn yourself over to God and ask him to help you. And sure enough, that guy was right. It worked. Goodbye. Thank you. The Absolute Woman.